welcome to yet another edition of the Full Force News Burst, brought to you by GeneralsJoes Reborn.com, with me as your host, Chris Entertainment Gone McLeod, aka Diagnostic 80. Joining me today to discuss the news that Entertainment One will produce TV and movie content for G.I. Joe by 2021 is Justin Entertainment None Bell. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this news burst. Entertainment One have revealed plans to delve into a number of Hasbro IPs for the purpose of creating television and movie content by the year 2021. eONE's president of global scripted programming, Pancho Mansfield, opened up at the UK Screenings annual event, where the company showcases their offerings to international buyers. Mansfield stressed that it remains early days, but named a number of brands that have potential, including Dungeons & Dragons, G.I. Joe, Power Rangers, Action Man and Transformers, while acknowledging that some have already been tapped up for TV or film adaptations. Mansfield added, "We're just wrapping our arms around it and we're excited to begin. We're going to continue doing what we're doing, and we have this great treasure chest of IP and worlds to bring to life. You know what has a following, and then you try to find the right visionary. We're meeting with all kinds of writers to make sure we have the right approach for whatever the piece is. There are some central brands we will be focused on." eONE's Executive VP of Acquisitions, Noel Hedges, also added, "We will support Hasbro's in-house IP and now find ways of bringing that to screen internally. Hasbro wants eONE to thrive, and from a distribution point of view, they want us to be the portal through which we can take that content to the world. Even if it's a kids brand, it could be integrated into a cross-generational family offering. Hasbro is a family business, but there is a lot there that isn't just in the kids space." This news comes at a very interesting time prior to Toy Fair this coming weekend, and continues to build excitement for a number of brands attached to Hasbro, more importantly for us, G.I. Joe and f***ing Action Man. Justin, this is great news, isn't it? I mean, what are your thoughts about the comments made at that screening event?
Oh, very good. I mean, it's looking pretty rosy right now for the G.I. Joe brand in pretty much all ways. But yeah, I mean, obviously it's to a point, it's marketing speak, but yeah, I think there's going to be an obvious focus on some good media, you know, across platforms for G.I. Joe, especially if the Snake Eyes film explodes. You know, part of me kind of wishes that, you know, maybe it was a little bit more focused so that it could launch alongside the Snake Eyes movie instead of 2021. But obviously, a lot of the stuff there's a lot of moving parts, and it's kind of come together at the last minute. So it doesn't surprise me, and it'll be interesting to see kind of how they approach it. I mean, recently we heard news about the new Masters of the Universe Netflix animated series and how they're seem to be taking that very seriously and attaching some really quality voice actors to it. And
Mark Hamill. I'm just kidding. I love Mark Hamill. I'm just kidding. He's great.
Yeah. So you have to wonder if they're going to really take that sort of, big budget approach to a G.I. Joe series. And I think they could do some good things if they do.
You've got a good point about timing there, because obviously I think they just wanted to make this Snake Eyes movie, and then all of a sudden we're talking huge amounts of product coming out. We're talking loads of different acquisitions by Hasbro to get, into a position to do more content kind of stuff. But it all has come almost after the process of developing this film, and it's interesting you say that. You wonder why they weren't thinking multi-platform. Maybe they were just, it's one of those things where they have to test the waters initially, really, don't they? And if they're getting possible. But yeah, it's a difficult thing, but I am surprised, like you said, that not everything is kind of syncing up together, and we're getting, like Snake Eyes movie, but then also maybe a Snake Eyes spin-off cartoon or something, Yeah.
And I have to admit, I mean, I'm kind of out of touch. It used to be, when there was a movie, there was almost always a cartoon, and a pretty successful sort of formula, with like the Michael Bay films and Transformers Prime and et cetera, et cetera. But I will admit, I'm a bit out of touch on kind of how that marriage happens these days. I haven't seen a Transformers cartoon in a while, but I think most of it is like Rescue Bots and some of that younger audience. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they approach G.I. Joe in that way. If it isn't a Netflix series, is it going to be something they try to gear towards a younger audience, and how will they do that? I think it's challenging because, G.I. Joe obviously as a military brand is a little bit different than robots shooting lasers at each other, or, fantasy men swinging swords at each other. I mean, this is soldiers with guns. And so it's going to be approached differently. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they deal with that.
I would like to see a kids cartoon though, in the kind of styling of like the way that they do the Avengers kids cartoons and the way they do Rescue Bots and stuff. I think that would be quite cute if they could do it where it was just like Sunbow, but for but kind of all cute and silly and animated. Because the more we have of this kind of broader range of media content, the bigger the audience becomes, and then the more money you're generating, surely.
Exactly, and all the adult collectors will kind of, turn their noses up at a children's cartoon. I mean, just because it's not for you doesn't mean it's not valid. And
or good for the brand,
Or good for the brand, yeah. I mean, it's whatever they can do to kind of get exposure out there is a good thing. And doing one thing doesn't mean that they won't do another.
And just one last thing, what do you think this means for the Paramount-Hasbro merger, which will be ending in 2022? Do you expect eONE to kind of take over that aspect of the business in the future, or could you see them continuing that partnership, especially if Snake Eyes is a massive hit?
Yeah, it's a fair question. I could see them continuing it if Snake Eyes, especially if Snake Eyes is successful. But yeah, that's a very interesting point, because that leads to a whole bunch of different other avenues. And I don't think Entertainment One is really in the motion picture business so much, but anything is possible. I suspect if Snake Eyes is really popular that they will kind of continue that marriage on, but who knows? If I remember right, I think the original Iron Man was an actual combination Paramount Marvel Studios production, and then I believe Marvel Studios kind of took the ball and ran with it from there. I don't think the future Iron Man films were related to Paramount at all, but I might be wrong.
Cool. Well, Justin, dude, thanks for jumping on and chatting again with me about this eONE merger. And again,
absolutely,
mate, G.I. Joe it's coming back in a big way, in a massive way.
It's huge all of a sudden.
I think a lot of people thought that it was death of the line, everything's over, it's all the end of times. And then it's only been I don't even know how long it's been. How long has it been? A couple of years?
Yeah, it's been a couple of years, yeah.
When was the 50th? When was the last 50th retail stuff? Was that
2016, 17, I think, something like that. So yeah, it hasn't been a whole long time. Although, the 50th stuff was up, of course, with Toys R Us only. And,
we still had a year of Collectors Club stuff coming through as well. So it's I feel like we got the last of that kind of towards the end of 2018, I think. Yeah, so at least exactly. It doesn't feel like we've been waiting very long. So, mate, I can't wait. Thank you for jumping on, mate.
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah.
Really appreciate, really excited, and I hope everyone out there that's listening is also excited. Even if you're not interested in the things that are out at the moment, I hope you're excited that the brand is getting life again, just like we are.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, thanks for shutting the internet down, guys. Really appreciate it. That's it for this installment of the Full Force News Burst. Thank you to my awesome co-host, Justin Bell. See you next time, and as always, Full Force. Make sure you get involved with the discussion by liking, sharing and commenting on these videos, and as always you can keep up with the show after listening by following on Twitter @TheFullForce, liking the Facebook page facebook.com/TheFullForce, and if you would like to contact the show you can message us on either of those platforms with feedback or questions. We have also started a Patreon page, so if you want to see your name up in lights on these videos or enjoy exclusive bonus content, then check out patreon.com/TheFullForce podcast, or click the link on any of the posts this podcast appears in. Full Force.